we are going to be talking about spiritual awakening, spiritual awareness. Now, spiritual awareness, a lot of people believe that once you are spiritually aware of who you are, of your environment, that means you will have to be in constant argument with people. It has nothing to do with argument. What you believe in, and this person doesn't believe in what you believe in, there is no point arguing. Being spiritually aware of your environment and of who you are calls for sober reflection. Spiritual awareness and spiritual awakening is realizing that there is a supreme power, there is a bigger being, there is something else happening apart from what your physical eyes can see. You may be experiencing this or a lot of things which no other person around you is experiencing. And then you think you are going mental. No. Now we're going to be taking them one after the other. Being spiritually awake is you realizing that there is something bigger than you that is happening in you and around you, within you. Something higher, something supernatural. That's what it is. Something supernatural, something bigger than what you can ever imagine happening around you. Now, for you to be spiritually awake has nothing to do with you being a Christian or a Muslim. It has nothing to do with any of this. It has nothing to do with your denomination. It has nothing to do with your religious belief. Being spiritually awake, being spiritually aware of your environment is a natural gift. You can be a pagan. You can be a traditionalist. You can be a Christian. But the moment you become spiritually aware of your environment, it has nothing to do with your religious belief. Religion is totally different from spirituality. Totally different. That you are a Christian, that you are a Muslim, that you're a traditionalist, that you are a pagan, has nothing to do with being spiritually aware. You can become a born-again Christian without knowing what we are talking about when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to being spiritually awake. It is not all of us who are Christians that are blessed this way. Doesn't mean that those who have these gifts are greater than others. No. They are actually set aside for difficult tasks in life. So what are the signs that will tell you that you are now being spiritually aware of your environment, that you are spiritually awake? Number one sign is, first of all, you noticing that there is something extraordinary happening around you. Something strange, something that others will see and condemn, but you will not condemn it. Something that others will notice around you and decide to stay away from you, thinking that maybe you are on the negative side. Because most of the times when we become spiritually awake, our lifestyles differ from that of those around us. We start behaving differently from the lifestyle we grew up with. And this is where our problem always starts. You being spiritually aware, you're spiritually awake, is realizing that there is something different happening. There is something you are noticing that no other person is noticing. Now, when you start noticing all these things, how do you react to them? This is part of being spiritually awake. Now, what are these things that you are noticing? When you are staying with others, everybody is seeing the environment, but you are not actually seeing that physical environment. You are seeing something else. Somebody can walk in or walk up to you And instead of you greeting the person, you start asking the person, what of the child following you? What of the car you came in with? Meanwhile, the person just walked in and you are asking of the car. Or the person came alone and you are asking of the child following the person, because you are seeing beyond the physical eyes. And most of the times when it happens, you may not be aware what is happening, because you may think that you are seeing with your normal eyes without knowing that your spiritual eyes are now open. Now, when we talk about these spiritual eyes, we are not talking about these physical eyes that we are looking at. Our spiritual eyes are not these physical eyes. A lot of people will tell you that the spiritual eyes is here. It is not physically here. The spiritual eyes is inside, but it looks as if it's here, but it's inside. When you are looking at the person, you are actually looking from within, from inside. That is why people always say that the spiritual eyes is here, is located here. Not physically located here, but deep inside you, in your subconscious mind, that is where your spiritual eyes is. But you can trace it from this here, from this point. That is the first sign of being spiritually awake. When someone comes to you without uttering a word, without saying anything, you have already read the person's mind. You know what the person has in mind. You know what the person is about to say. Sometimes even the person, before the person opens up to tell you something, you've already concluded and said what the person wants to say. That is being spiritually awake. And sometimes people with this gift are called witches, wizards, that they are into witchcraft. It is not anything witchcraft. It has nothing to do with witchcraft. If you do not know how to control it, that is when people will start calling you names, because when you are realizing these things at first and you don't know how to control it, that is when you keep on saying whatever you see, believing that everybody around you is seeing the same thing. But when you know how to control it, you will know that it is not everything that you see that you open up your mouth to talk about. There are certain things you will see and it will be better for you to walk up to that person one-on-one or keep it to yourself to avoid getting into trouble. Now, when you start noticing these things happening around you, how do you handle it? How do you handle it? That is the next stage. How do you handle these spiritual things happening around you? A lot of people who are not being guided properly, you see them behaving like those who are going mental. You see someone talking anyhow, talking to himself or herself. And people will call it, most of the time, soliloquizing. Sometimes they are actually talking to probably the beings or the spirits around them. Or sometimes they are talking about what their eyes is seeing, thinking that everybody around them are actually seeing the same thing. So when you are spiritually awake, you will have to learn how to control yourself to avoid attracting these negativities to yourself, to avoid people calling you names. Whatever you see, because most of the times, if you don't know how to control yourself, that power in you will always push you to voice out what you have seen. So when you see something innocently, you just open up your mouth and start saying what you have seen. And maybe what you have seen is not something that any other person can hear, and then you voice it out. And if care is not taken, it can put you into trouble. Now, some of us who are spiritually awake, without knowing what the problem is, you will see somebody that traveled to the village, and then the person will be telling you that he or she is seeing the grandparents. Meanwhile, these parents maybe passed away like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They were telling you that I saw our grandfather, I saw our great-grandfather, I saw this person, I saw that person. And people will start attributing such gifts to negative powers. when you are spiritually awake and you are called towards that side, you are definitely going to see those things. When you are spiritually awake, first of all, you are going to experience every aspect of spirituality. Every aspect. And this is causing problems because sometimes some of us who are spiritually gifted do not really know where God has channeled us to. Because at first, you will experience every angle of spirituality. You are going to see spiritually. You are going to prophesy. You can pray. You can heal. You can practice spiritual exercises and it will work. You can do a lot of things and it will work. You can even talk to plants and plants will hear. And that's where you are going to see a lot of people claiming to have the power to do everything. No. When you calm down, control yourself, you will know where God has channeled you to. And when you have realized where He has channeled you to, you are going to specialize there. You become an expert there. Doesn't mean that you are not aware about the other sides of spirituality. No, but you are actually called for something else. You are not called for everything. In spirituality, we have division of labor. There are those who are seers. That is where they are called. There are those who are healers. That is where they are called. There are those who are spiritually gifted to use nature to practice spiritual exercises to save mankind. That is where they are called. So when you are spiritually awake, you are going to experience all these things. Now, so many of us who are spiritually awake, you may have a being, a guardian that comes to you every now and then. Please, I want us to pay attention very well in this particular teaching right now. When you are spiritually awake, you will notice that there is a being that follows you about every now and then. And this being will never allow anything to happen to you. This being will always be there for you. If you are spiritually gifted, you will know which being is following you. Most of the times, we Christians make the mistake of calling such people Obanje, of calling such people water child. Some of these beings following us every now and then has nothing to do with Obanje, has nothing to do with you becoming a water child. These are your guardians, your guardian angel. There are those beings following you, and the reason why they are following you is because it is their duty to guide you, to direct you, to help you. If you have that spiritual eyes, you are going to see them. They do not appear physical, but you will know that they are around you. And how do you know that these guardians are present? I'm going to give us few examples. Whenever you are all alone and you feel goosebumps all over you and you know that you are spiritually gifted and you feel goosebumps all over you, know that your guardian angel is around. Whenever you are alone and you notice the smell of a sweet scent, it looks as if someone sprayed perfume around you. Meanwhile, nobody, just only you, but you are perceiving the aroma of a sweet perfume. Know that your guardian angel is around you. Sometimes, these guardian angels, you may not notice their presence, but if you have pets in your house, through your pets, you will know that these guardians are around, because animals see spiritually more than human. The animals in your house can tell you, they do not talk, but through their movement, you will know whether there is another person or another being in that same house with you. So through animals, they can show you that they are present, especially dogs. If your dog is inside the same house with you and all of a sudden the dog starts barking, if the dog is barking violently, know that there is a demon around. But if the dog barks and then stops, know that your guardian is around. You may be experiencing all these things without knowing it. If you are spiritually gifted and you know that you are spiritually gifted and all these things are happening, you are being aware of your environment. Now, so many of us who are spiritually gifted, at first, when you go outside, you will feel nature. When I mean nature, it's not about feeling the breeze, the air, no. You will know when the nature is with you. You will know when nature is at your beck and call. It's a spiritual thing. You will know how to handle nature. You will know when to call on nature, and nature will answer you and work for you. But as time goes on in life, everybody will now know where he or she is being channeled to, because there are people who are channeled towards that nature part, that they can command the sun, they can command the moon, they can command the plants, they hear the plants talk. If you have been experiencing this, but maybe you think you are weird, you are not weird. You are being spiritually awake. Now, another thing in being spiritually awake is you will always being on the other side while every other person is on the other side. Everybody will believe in one thing and you are believing in another thing. And nothing will make you change your mind. If 100 people will say yes to something, you are the only person that will say no to that thing. And you will maintain that no, and you will stand with that no. You will never change your mind. You are not doing it because you want to do it. It is the spirit in you that is actually guiding you. Those 100 people can be wrong, and you might be the only person right. And that is why you are maintaining your stand, because you are not becoming spiritually awake. Now, one of the examples of this is more especially in Christianity. I am using Christianity as an example because I am a Christian. There are some things we believed while growing up. There are some teachings and practices we witnessed while growing up. And we grew up with all those things. We believed in all those things. But as time goes on, you will start questioning those teachings. You start questioning those practicals, and it looks as if you are becoming disobedient. It looks as if you are deviating from Christianity. It is not deviating. It is your spirit telling you the truth that no other person will ever tell you. The church might not tell you that truth. The church might know the truth, but will not tell you that truth because they still want you to become a member of that church. But when you are spiritually awake, your spirit will tell you the truth that you need to know. There are a lot of practices in churches that to us members, it is good because we grew up with that. Our parents taught us that. We grew in the Lord. Going to church, we are being taught that in the church and we grew with it. But when you become spiritually awake, you will start questioning those teachings. And when you are spiritually awake, your guardian angel will not only tell you the truth, but will expose everything to you. And that is where you see a lot of us start questioning. That is when you will see some people and you will ask them to come to church. And they will think about it twice. I'm not saying that going to church is bad. No, I'm not saying that. But we are brought up in Christianity that you must go to church every Sunday. But when you are spiritually awake, you will realize that you can stay in your room and pray, and God will hear you. He might not even answer your prayers when you go to church. But when you pray inside your room, God will answer your prayers and will do it for you. If you go to church, He will still answer it. But when you are spiritually awake, that is when you will know that God is universal. God is not a station God. He is not that God that is in the church. He is God everywhere. that wherever you go, that same God in your Father's house is still the same God that you are going to meet wherever you are going to. That is being spiritually awake. And that is why I said initially that it has nothing to do with religion. That you are a Christian, you are a Muslim, whatever you are, spirituality has nothing to do with that. When God is calling you, He's not calling you because you are a member of Catholic Church. No. He's not calling you because you are a Muslim. No. God is actually calling you because He has already equipped you right from the womb for you to work for Him. Religion is what we as human beings have decided to adopt. Nobody is born to become stationed to religion. From the womb, before you were born, God has already made you. He has already equipped you and brought you into this world. So your religion doesn't matter. What matters is, are you doing the will of God? Are you making use of those gifts that He has given you? So when you become spiritually awake, you will tend to question a lot of things. And that is where you see a lot of people, they will always argue. You don't need to argue much. Once you've said something and you know that your spirit is in line with you and that thing you say is okay, you don't need to argue. So whenever you start questioning the reason why this thing is going this way instead of this way, know that you are becoming spiritually awake. Yes. Know that you are becoming spiritually awake, because one thing I love about the Holy Spirit is that the Holy Spirit cannot tell you this without explaining the reason why that thing is that way. He's going to explain everything for you so that you know how to defend your belief. You know how to defend your practices. So many of us are experiencing all these things. And whenever you start experiencing these things, the first set of people that will see you as the enemy are your family members. The moment you start becoming spiritually awake, the first set of people that will see you as that stubborn person, as that scapegoat, as that, what do I call it, are your family members. They will not agree with you because it looks as if you are becoming disobedient. You are actually deviating. Maybe before, when you go out, somebody gives you a drink. If it's before, you just take the drink and nothing will happen. But of recent, when somebody gives you something, before you drink it, you start looking at that drink. You are not looking at that drink for you to see anything inside the drink. No, but something is talking to you. A being is actually talking to you, telling you whether you are supposed to take that drink or not. And that is why you are pausing before you take the drink. Your behavior will be totally different from that of your family members. You will find it difficult to agree to everything that they have said, because you are no longer taking authority from anybody. You are actually taking authority from a higher being. And so you will never agree with them except they decide to follow your path. You will never agree with them. Another set of people that will fall out with you are your friends. The moment you start becoming spiritually aware of your environment, your friends are the next set of people that will fall out with you. First, when you start becoming spiritually aware, if you have ever noticed, you will no longer want to move out with your friends like before. It's not being pompous. It has nothing to do with pomposity. No. You will now prefer to be alone, always on your own, always by yourself. If you are the outgoing type, when people now call you to go out, you no longer want to go out because you want to stay alone. You are not staying alone because you actually want to stay alone. No, but because that spirit is withholding you. For you to become spiritually powerful, you need that self-control. You need that you need to be staying alone often, more than going out all the time. When I mean going out all the time, I don't mean going to work or going to a business. Of course, you have to be doing what you are doing to make your money. But when I mean going out, I mean going out on social events, with friends, to hang out, to chat, to drink. When you are becoming spiritually aware of your environment, you will notice that you now prefer staying back at home without going out. And that is where you will start having problems with your friends. And so many of us who are at this stage in life, that's when you see people calling you holy, holy. You are now becoming holier. You are now behaving holier than thou. And in Igbo language, they will call you holy mweje. So if you are at this stage, it is not your fault. The only thing I can tell you is, do not allow the pressure from people to push you away. If your spirit doesn't permit you to go out, stay back. It's not that when you go out that something will happen to you, no. But your spirit is actually drawing you back to equip you the more. You are not yet ready to face the world. That is the stage where you are in. At that stage, you are not ready to face the world. You have not been equipped. You are being tutored. So you need to stay back and learn. And these teachings comes every now and then. And these teachings cannot come from any human being. They are spiritual. It must come from your guardian angel. They are the ones that will teach you. They are the ones that will help you, because they are the ones that will always stand by you. That is how God has made it. So at this stage, it will be better for you to always stay at a place and listen. The reason why we always stay at a place to listen is so that you don't make mistakes. Because definitely one day you will grow, you will graduate from that level. You will graduate. And after this level, the next stage of becoming spiritually aware of your environment is you coming out open to tell the world who you are. And let me tell you, it's not going to be easy for you. The first time you come out to tell people who you are, not telling people, oh, look, I'm a seer, I can see. No. The first time you start exhibiting that gift, it's not going to be easy with you. Mind you, you are going to face a lot of criticisms. People are going to criticize you. People will call you names. People will drag you. Your family members will drag you. Your friends, your closest friends. You will lose a lot of people in your life. But losing those people in your life is actually one of the best things that will happen to you. Because God is going to bring more people to you. People whom you are going to work on. As for those people that that you have lost, they are not actually supposed to go the long way with you. So when you are becoming aware of your environment spiritually, you are going to notice a lot of changes in your life. And for women in particular, for married women, we always have problem at this stage. When a married woman notices that she's spiritually gifted and you are becoming aware of that spirituality, it is never easy with us. It is so difficult to have a spouse, a husband, who will understand you immediately. You just woke up one day and you are telling your husband that God said I should do this. No. It's not going to go down well with both of you at first. Because they always see that you will now shift away from them. You will no longer give them attention. And somehow that is true. That is why I talk about controlling yourself. If you do not take time, if you do not control yourself, you might no longer be giving that attention to your husband. And that is where you will have problems. So for married women, it is never easy. This is just like you now having two gods. You are obeying God and you are obeying your husband. It will never be easy with you. So the best thing for you, that married woman who is spiritually gifted, and you are realizing that your gift is coming up, and you know that it's going to be a challenge for you in your home, the best thing for you to do is to tell God to arrest that man. Let him arrest your husband. When God arrests your husband, he's still going to be the head of the family. Even if he doesn't agree with whatever you are doing, but he's not going to disturb you. He will not disturb you. Whether he agrees or not, he will not disturb you as long as you know that your practices are genuine, that your practices are of divine and not evil. So married women who are becoming spiritually aware of their environment doesn't find it easy. It is never easy at all. It can be easy for single guys and single ladies. It can be so easy for them because there is nobody, they are not under anybody. There is nothing holding them. They are just on their own. But when you are married, it is not easy for women, but it can be easy for a man. So when you notice all these changes in your life, something that has never happened before, and all of a sudden it starts happening, that is that spiritual awareness that we are talking about. It's the spiritual awareness that has nothing to do with you going to church every Sunday. That you are gifted spiritually has nothing to do with you going to church every Sunday. It has nothing to do with that. There are so many people who have never stepped their foot inside the church, but they are highly gifted spiritually. If it pleases God to bring them to church, one day he's going to drag them to church. One thing about this spiritual gift, once God has given you this gift, he has given you the gift. He's not going to collect that gift from you, whether you make use of the gift or not. If you do not make use of this spiritual gift, it's going to grow cold. So cold that you can't do anything. But when you start making use of this gift, that gift will grow and will expand. And you will get to know a lot of things that nobody on earth will ever teach you. Nobody on earth will ever tell you. The Holy Spirit, that guardian angel that God has positioned to watch over you, will teach you so many things that you yourself will start doubting whether they are true or not. He's going to teach you a lot. Now, when this teaching starts coming, all you need to do is to pay attention. From the teachings that you are receiving, you will know where you are being channeled to. So many of us receive these teachings, but yet we still do not know whether they are teachings or not. Somebody once told me that she can't really tell if she receives teaching from the guardian angel, if she hears God, but that whenever she sits at a place and thinks about something, that thing happens immediately. Whenever anybody comes to her mind and she talks about the person, and the person will just walk in immediately. That even if she wants to buy something but she doesn't have any money, she thinks about that thing, somebody else somewhere will call on the phone and tell her that he or she is buying that thing for her. And I asked her, so what else do you want? And she said that it is her thought. That is what she thinks, that it is her thought. But that is actually her guardian angel performing his duties, his task. And she thought she's the one thinking about all those things. That is that voice we are talking about, you hearing the voice and recognizing the voice. It's not all about hearing it, but do you recognize it? When you hear and you recognize, that is when you start developing faster. So when you are becoming spiritually aware of your environment, you're going to experience all these things. A lot of things will be popping into your head, popping up. And you think you are the one thinking them. No, you are not the one thinking about all those things, because you can't think about everything at the same time. It is your guardian angel telling you, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Because those things are actually where you are going to place your hands on, either to solve problems or to know what else to do spiritually. So if you are here and you have been experiencing all these things that I mentioned and even more, that is what we call spiritual awareness. Spiritual awareness. And for you to become spiritually aware doesn't mean that you are going to pray from morning till night. No. Doesn't mean. There are a lot of people who don't even want to practice this, but unfortunately, they have received that gift from God. And all these things are happening to them. And people are calling them all sorts of names. All sorts of names. So when you start noticing all these things around you, you are becoming spiritually awake. You are waking up spiritually. Your spiritual gifts are now rising because you can't hide them any longer. Your spiritual gifts are growing. You can no longer hide them. And one problem with those who are gifted spiritually, it will be better for you not to realize that you have that gift. The moment you have come to terms that you have that spiritual gift and you want to suppress it, you will have problems in life. Problems that nobody can ever help, that nobody can solve for you. If you have experienced this, you will know what I'm talking about. If you are suppressing your spiritual gifts, one day you are going to fall into problems, and that problem will expand, will attract a lot of other problems, and you are going to be the only one to solve your problem because the gift to handle that problem lies in your hands. Have you ever seen people who run from church to church, from one pastor to another, from one prayer house to another because of their spiritual problem, an unending problem? From one problem to another, you are running from here to there, seeking for people who are spiritually powerful to solve your problems. And none of these people has ever solved your problem. Have you ever seen such people? Whenever I come across such people, I always tell them to turn back and look at yourself. Go and look at yourself. Look inwards. What you're seeking outside is with you. The reason why those people, those men of God, those women of God couldn't solve your problem is because they are not called to solve your problem. You are actually called to solve that problem. And by solving that problem, you will now know how to solve people's problems. So if you are becoming spiritually awake, but you are still running around looking for people to solve your problem, you better start early. I know of someone who is here, who is called. This man is actually called to be a pastor, but this man kept on disturbing me, asking me to do one thing or the other for him to make it. He wants to become successful by all means. He wants to become rich. And I tried as much as possible, and the message kept on coming that he must answer his call. And the day I told this man that you are the one that will solve your problem by answering this call, he got mad. He told me that he cannot answer that call if he doesn't make it, that he wants to become a successful man in life before he answers his call. And I said, okay. I told him, I cannot handle your problem. I can't solve it. I can't do anything for you because everything I have done for him so far, after concluding that spiritual exercise, he will call me to give me the testimonies that he made it, he made this, he made that. And 2 months after, he will call me and tell me that everything has fallen back again. And I told him to answer his call. Answer your call so that you make use of that gift and solve your problem. He got angry and he stopped calling me. And I later heard from someone that he decided to answer his call. And all those problems, he is taking care of them one after the other. Becoming spiritually aware of your environment, of everything around you, is the best thing that can happen to you. That is when you will see that your bestie, somebody whom you have known for a very long time to be your bestie, and all of a sudden you start withdrawing from your bestie. Your bestie didn't do anything wrong to you, but all of a sudden you start withdrawing from that your bestie. You are actually not the one doing it. That spirit in you is actually pulling you away from that your bestie, because you are yet to see and you are yet to know who that your bestie is. And when the time comes, you will now see the reason why you were withdrawing yourself. So I don't know if you are here watching us live. I don't know if you are experiencing any of these things that I just mentioned. I don't know if you are spiritually gifted and you are yet to start making use of your gift. But tonight I'm here to tell us the things that will happen, and when they start happening, you know that your spiritual senses are coming up live. You are now waking up spiritually. And you waking up spiritually, I want you to know that it is not all the time that you will agree with people. It is not all the time. A lot of people will always see you as a negative person. You are always on the negative side, because that side they thought to be the negative side is actually the right side. So if you have any question to ask, you can write down your questions. So I want to thank us. I want to thank everybody for joining us live. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for being present tonight. And say, may God bless all of you in Jesus' name. Amen. So see you tomorrow by 8:30 to 9 p.m. God bless you.